Hello everyone. So our topic is all about assessment of mother tongue. So our objective is to develop appropriate assessment procedures and tools or instruments for mother tongue. So assessment. The major purpose of assessment in schools should be to provide interpretative information to teachers and school leaders about their impact on students so that these educators have the best information possible about what steps to take with instructions and how they need to change and adapt. So, often we used assessment in schools to inform students of their progress and attainment. Of course, this is important, but it is more critical to use this information to inform teachers about their impact on students. Using assessments as feedback for teachers is powerful, and this power is truly maximized when the assessments are timely, informative, and related to what teachers are actually teaching. So there are six types of assessment: diagnostic assessments, formative assessments, summative assessments, ipsative assessments, norm reference assessments, and criterion assessments. So what is diagnostic assessment? When you structure diagnostic assessments around your lesson, you'll get the information you need to understand student knowledge and engage your whole classroom. Some examples of diagnostic assessment is short quizzes. These are common nga gamiton sa mga teachers. Journal entries, student interviews, student reflections, classroom discussions, graphic organizers or mind maps, flowcharts, KWL charts, or etc. So, diagnostic assessment can also help benchmark student progress. Consider giving the same assessment at the end of the unit so that students can see how far they've come. And to set up a diagnostic assessment, use your assessment tools to create a plan that guides students through a skill. This adaptive assessment will support students with prerequisites when they need additional guidance. Next is formative assessment. This is to help teachers understand student learning while they teach and provide them with information to adjust their teaching strategies accordingly. So, formative assessments help you track how students' knowledge is growing and changing in your classroom in real time. While it requires a bit of time investment, especially at first, the gains are more than worth it. So, some examples of formative assessment are portfolios, common na sa siya, group projects, progress reports, class discussions, entry and exit tickets, short or regular quizzes, virtual classroom, tools like Socrative or Kahoot app ni siya nga, for assessment. So when running formative assessments in your classroom, it is best to keep them short, easy to grade, and consistent. Introducing students to formative assessments in a low stakes way can help you benchmark their progress and reduce their math anxiety. Next one is summative assessment. It is to measure student progress as an assessment of learning. So, standardized tests are a type of summative assessment and provide data for you, school leaders, and district leaders. They can assist with communicating student progress, but they don't always give clear feedback on the learning process and can foster a teach to test mindset if you are not careful. So, formative is katong assessment assessment for. Mo to siya as formative assessment. So ang summative assessment is assessment of. So assessment of learning is a summative assessment. But just because it's a summative assessment doesn't mean it can't be engaging for students and useful for your teaching. Try creating assessments that deviate from the standard multiple choices test. Like for example, recording a podcast, writing a script for a short play, and producing an independent study project. These are some examples in creating a summative assessment. So next is episodic assessment. It is one of the types of assessment as learning. So mo na siya ang assessment as is ipsative assessment. Assessment of is summative assessment. While assessment for is formative assessment. So for is formative. So ang of is summative and ang as is ipsative assessment. So this is to compares the previous results with the second try, motivating students to set goals and improve their skills. Mo ni siya kanang kaduha maghatag og assessment mo hatag kag second try to improve the skills of their students. Two-stage assessment man na siya is a framework helps students learn from their mistakes and then motivate them to do better. Plus, it removes the instant gratification of goals and teaches students learning as a process. So, you can incorporate ipsative assessment into your classroom with e-portfolios, a two-stage testing process, and a project-based learning mga activities for students. Next is norm reference assessments. These are types of assessment that are tests designed to compare an individual to a group of their peers, usually based on national standards and occasionally adjusted for age, ethnicity, or um, other demographics. So unlike sa ipsative assessment where the student is only competing against themselves, ang sa norm reference assessment is they draw from a wide range of data points. So pandagkuanay na pang dagkuay na siya points to make conclusions about students' achievements. So katong ipsative kay kanang for competing them against themselves lang, while diri sa norm is for wide range na siya, pandigkuan na siya nga points. So the types of norm reference assessment are these IQ tests. Mo ni siya ang sa mga norm references. IQ tests, physical assessments. These are the examples of norm reference assessment. The last assessment is the criterion reference assessment. This is to compare the score of an individual student to a learning standard and performance level, independent of other students around them. So, while in sa ipsative, no, sa norm reference assessment kay katong pang kung ano siya pang wide range of data points. And diri sa criterion is pang performance na siya against grade level standards that can include end of unit or final test, muna siya pang final, to assess the student learning. So, outside the classroom, criterion reference assessments appear in professional license exams. Mano siya ka na manggawas mga kumano siya criterion. High school exit exams and citizenship tests, where the student must answer a certain percentage of questions correctly to pass para makapasar kang katong sa norm is for dagkuay lang siya nga points, and diri sa criterion is pang final na dyan na siya. Pareha sa kanang mga pang magkuha kag professional licensure exam. So these assessments are most often compared with norm reference. Mato siya ma-compare dyan na siya. Reference assessments. Well, they are both considered types of assessments of learning. Criterion reference assessment don't measure students against their peers. Walang katong sa norm is mag-measure siya sa sa peers sa mga students, while diri sa criterion is dili. Instead, each student is graded to provide insight into their strengths and areas for improvement. So, in example, para makuan, no, not just example siguro, kanang used, siguro siya used to used sa criterion references is a rubric. So, there are three purposes of assessment: the assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. So assessment of learning is a summative assessment. Assessment for learning is a formative assessment, while assessment as learning is a ipsative assessment. So assessment of learning, you can use assessment to help identify if students are meeting grade level standards. So assessment of learning are usually grade based. Kanang i-record ang ilang mga grades. Like for examples, mga exams, portfolios, final projects kana kay i-record mo na siya. Standardized tests. This is often have a concrete grade attached to them that communicates students' achievement to teachers, parents, students, and school level administrators, and also the district leaders. So, there are common types of assessment of learning, that includes summative assessment, man akong giingon sa assessment of learning, summative assessments, mga norm reference assessments, mga criterion reference assessment, mga graded na siya. While assessment for learning is to provide you with a clear snapshot of student learning and understanding as you teach, allowing you to adjust everything from your classroom management strategies to your lesson plans as you go. So assessment for learning should always be ongoing. So ang assessment for is katong assessment formative. When siya is the assessment for learning should always be ongoing and actionable. So man siya sa mother tongue assessment. So in assessing in mother tongue, we have to assess the students' ability to use high frequency vocabulary, ability to describe everyday experiences, ability to use the language of prediction and hypothesis, ability to understand conceptual vocabulary, ability to understand and produce extended speech, ability to use language for describing and clarifying less immediate experiences, and ability to understand and use position words, and lastly auditory and visual memory kanang nag-use og mga pictures.